So typically, if somebody asks me to speak, the first thing I'd say is no. Uh, but when Pastor Connie asked me if I'd share a little bit about what River of Grace meant to me, it was an easy yes because this place means so much, and I feel like it's really saved me, especially the last year. So I'm going to read it a little bit to you because I didn't want to forget something that I really wanted to say. So, in December, my life changed overnight. Of December of 2020, my mom got sick, went to the hospital, never came home again. She had been taking care of Rob totally and herself, and all of a sudden, it was like on me. So I was trying to navigate her health care, her affairs, her financial affairs. Rob was home full time, and I was teaching full time online. And I was a mess. I felt like a hamster on a wheel going 100 miles an hour, going nowhere. And I was really losing myself, and my faith was totally faltering. I had gone to an Episcopal church up in Kingstown, but the pastor left and the traffic was getting bad, and I just kind of quit going. And when mom got sick, I just didn't have the energy to attend online. So then May came around and Rob got his second vaccination. So I asked him, where do you want to go, now that you can finally go out? And I was really expecting him to say Longhorn because he loves steak. And he surprised me. He said, I want to go to church. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if people are really letting people into church yet. And I've made some excuses. And so I was telling a friend that I taught with, and she said, hey, I'll take him. She's like, I go to Catholic church. I'd be glad to take him. So she picked him up every Sunday, and he'd get in the car and he'd wave. And when he'd leave, he'd say, I'll pray for you, Lori. I'm like, okay. So one day he came home and I said, how was church today, buddy? And he said, well, I prayed that you would go with me. And I'm like, oh man. And if you know me, I'll do anything for Rob. So I kind of went into panic mode. And then I remembered coming to River of Grace several years ago with a friend of mine. And I remembered how welcoming everybody was and how kind I thought the people were and how the message really resonated. And it's like, okay, buddy, we're going to give it a shot. I'll take you to church, but we're going to try somewhere new. And I wanted to go somewhere where I'd be accepted for who I was, not in spite of who I was. And I'd had a lot of those experiences. And so had friends of mine where they would go to a church and people would acknowledge or barely acknowledge them, their lifestyle, their choices, but they certainly didn't celebrate any differences or diversity. And I felt like this might be a place that would do that. So we came. Um, when we first got here, everybody, it's just people are so genuine. The first day we were here, Stuart walked Rob to the car. And shortly afterwards, Lynn helped me move some furniture. And every time we came, Lori came and greeted us with her joyful welcomes. And not too long after I'd been here, Pastor Connie asked me and put her faith and trust in me to be the financial secretary. And it's like, wow. And then at Christmas time, I got a card in the mail. And it was probably the nicest Christmas card I ever had received and the nicest message. And I would have brought it, except it's packed with my Christmas stuff because I didn't get rid of it. But it was from Gretchen. And that was a turning point. At that point, I knew we were home. And I told Rob, it's like, buddy, we made a good choice. These people are great. And if we need something, they'll help us. And I really did believe that. Um, and in retrospect, I think that River of Grace really kept me from a deep depression. There was days when I didn't think I could get through an hour, let alone a week, a month. And it really, I'm now at peace with my life. I feel like this is a chapter that where God wants me to be and that I'm being blessed for it. And so much of that has come from coming here, the people here, the worship here. Rob and I love it here. The music, the fellowship, just the service for others. And it's so funny because he'll start asking me on Wednesday, when are we going to church? And it's like, not for a couple more days, bud. And, umpteen times a week, he says, I really, really like Pastor Connie. I mean, I'm talking 10, 20 times a week. Although now you're starting to be replaced by Sophia. Second fiddle. Uh, but lastly, the last thing I was thinking recently was when people stop by or call or I run into somebody and they ask me how I'm doing, I keep finding myself saying, Rob and I found this really great church. And that was nothing I would have ever said before. It wasn't a part of my conversation. So thank you all for having this be a place where we're safe and respected and included and most of all loved. Thanks.